It's your business's birthday.
It is 10 years. You're like, I just don't think I'm good enough. And I said, well, that's okay. I can't afford good enough. I think I can afford you. What do you remember that place, Josh?
The slope roof and the chaos.
2 years ago, someone told me this would never happen. Here we are today, and obviously I was more excited about it and more emotional about it at the time.
Any plans for celebration? G'day, Rusty. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, Maxwell. How are you?
I'm very good. This is weird, me kicking off the episode, but it's a bit of a different one tonight.
It is different. You're right.
We do have someone here, Josh.
We do. That was a very formal intro.
It was very formal.
Yeah,
it's probably the most formal intro we've ever had.
Mr. Joshua Wells joins us.
Yes, Mr. Joshua Wells.
Just to up the
This is
formality.
too formal for me.
He's pressed record on all the cameras for us.
He has.
And
Do you want to explain what's different about tonight's episode?
well, tonight's episode is all about yourself.
Well, no, not quite be that narrow.
Not quite that narrow, but it's your business's birthday.
It is 10 years of depending what moniker we use, but scoped out, let's say, for current record. Yeah, 10 years as of, well, the day that this podcast goes out, actually.
Yeah.
Far out.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, where's the pop things that send the confetti and stuff?
Oh, that's all done post.
Oh,
Look at it on the screen now.
There we go.
All the explosions and things.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's a wrap. Happy birthday.
Cheers. Well, it's actually not the birthday.
It's not
To
the
be
birthday.
fair, no. So
This is a twist.
This is one of those things where, if you've ever started a business, there is multiple things you could call as the start of the business, right? When did you get the idea? When did you register the business name? When did you make your first sale? When did you go bankrupt? Any of these things could be, maybe the last one, could be, you're like, oh, that's when we started. And that's probably a little bit skewed. And because Scoped Out was actually an acquisition by this company, so it's come
Hostile
on board.
takeover.
Less hostile, but yes, takeover. It's a little bit ambiguous. So I guess I wanted to say that from the top, that someone will go, oh, hang on, it's been longer than 12 years. Longer than 10 years, and it will be longer, not shorter.
Yeah.
Longer than 10 years. We spent a couple of years, I'm sure we'll get into what we were doing at the time, as a sole trader. But we've chosen what is the 2nd of July 2025 as the 10-year milestone, because that is 10 years to the day we started as a company.
Yep.
Registered the actual company a couple of years after trading as a sole trader.
Yep.
And then registered the company, and that's the ambiguous date we started.
The started.
Yeah. So if you bought something and the receipt on it is prior, or you saw one of the since 2014 Scoped Out stickers, they're not wrong. They're just,
Not quite right.
they're also, we've chosen a certain milestone to celebrate, and that's the one it is. 10 years sounds good. We could have said 12, I guess, but it'd also be harder to pin that date down.
Yeah,
Because I think I registered the first business name like a year and a half and then did nothing.
And what was the first business?
The first, so we got started as Southern Shooters, which was initially a training organisation. Really, I was working in a gun shop, and what I wanted to do was, was take people out and teach them all the stuff, all the mistakes I'd made, right?
Yep.
You'd speak to these guys, they'd come in, and I remember a couple of particular examples. Came in and they'd be like, oh, I want to get a 300 Win Mag. You're like, oh, no problems, mate. Easy. What are you doing? Oh, it's my first gun. You're like, okay, cool. Like, you've got some deer to go after or something? No. I'm like, all right, so what are you going to go and do? They're like, oh, I want to shoot rabbits. I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah, but the 300 Win Mag, how cool is that? I'm like, you're right, it is pretty cool. But also, you're probably not going to love it, like, because the recoil's savage. Particularly for the first few times, you're like, this is amazing, this is great.
So much fun, and then it's not so much fun after the 10th shot of the night.
Yeah, for 4 shots, and then you go, hang on.
Yeah, and when you're out on a shooting bunnies or something, you're getting 30 in a night. Gets very draining. Yeah. Unless you could line all 30 up in one. Anyway. Yeah. And I remember particularly 2 guys, one I dealt with, one someone else in the shop dealt with, both after about 3 months brought their guns back in to sell and get out of it. And you're like, one, it would have been nice to have suggested, we did suggest.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I was like, oh man, I wish I could take you out for half a day, and we'd go out and we'd shoot together, and I'd show you all the things that I made a mistake of, get you your exposure to like a 22, 223, 308, 300 Win Mag, shotgun in there as well, show you some cleaning stuff, all this sort of gear. So we did, and we started that. And we're basically taking people out, combination of sort of introducing some new people to shooting and also the training element, teaching them about
actually how to use their firearm.
Yeah, how to get the most out of it, how to sort of give them exposure to a number of things. And they could be like, well, I love shooting that 300 Win Mag. That was so good. But I also see why a 2-3 or a 22 might be really useful to start on.
Yep,
you sort of get that try before you buy element to it, and then you can make a decision based off of, multiple factors, not just cool.
Not just I want the biggest one because it's the biggest one.
Yeah. And so that's, I guess, what we started actually doing. And then sort of as that evolved, the idea of projectile warehouse came up.
Yep.
So initially, because I was still working at a gun shop, the idea of, I would look at my reloading bench and I would have a pack of 80 of that and a pack of 82 of them and a pack of 74 of those. I'm like, we could do this better. We could do this whole sampling projectiles a little bit better. And so I thought, well, what if we made packs of, back then it was 20, ended up being 10. Yep. But, and so I divided a bunch of stuff up. I spoke to the owner of the shop and I said, hey, look, this is my idea. This is what I'd like to do. And he said, and I said, look, I'm not competing directly with you because I'm sort of doing something a bit differently. Yeah. And he said, well, I don't think that'll do very well. Go for it. I'm like, all right, cool. No sweat. Cheers for the support, I think. But, okay, cool. And so I went to a gun show and we're going there for the training element, but we also took along some sample packs. And what I did in my genius idea at the time was I was like, people were like maybe using a 308 for long range. So I would make up a pack of 100 with 5 different types of projectiles that were all suited to a purpose of use.
Yep.
So like some vomiting stuff in 22 cal, some 6.5, some 308s, both like a lighter one and a heavy one.
Yep.
And he was right. Not a single thing sold until I decided to separate them out rather than preset bundles.
Yep.
They were, you just grab whichever ones you want.
Just grab 20 of anything.
Yep. That's right. And that's when it started ticking along. And people were like, oh, yeah, can do this, can use that and find some value in there. And then I started sort of being able to source a few products that weren't competing with where I was working. They weren't brands or anything that we sold there. So it's comfortable to do that. And over a period of time between both activities, I left. I got busy enough that I was able to leave. And which was really nice. I mean, it was a bit of a gamble. Like I think I was 4 days, dropped down to 3 days, dropped down to 2 days, and then went down to no days. And they were still a supplier for me, so I still had a good relationship with them.
Good to leave on that positive note.
Yeah, it was great. Still to this day, go on really well. And so started doing my own thing up until some laws changed here in SA in 2017. And what we were doing with some coaching and things like that was now subject to some other laws around a commercial range. Yeah. And that effectively halted that operation dead in its tracks.
Which is quite disappointing, really, because that sort of education would be very valuable still now. You can get some of it through clubs and such, but having a dedicated group that you can ring up and say, hey, I would like to get some training would be great.
Yeah, and so when that happened, we had a couple options. We could have pursued it and got some stuff certified and done that path. Reasonably expensive, fairly timely. And right at that time, Jay Orange from Orange Accuracy, Scott Patel at Precision Rifle Training, and another organisation not around now, but there was about sort of 2 or 3 guys that we knew of particularly, and we had moved into the long range space at this point.
Yeah.
And we're still doing the general stuff, but predominantly it was the long range because that was the harder one for people to sort of get their head around.
Yeah.
These other guys were doing it. You're like, you know what? There's less of a need now. Like, I'm happy to palm suggestions off to those guys, and they were doing what they were doing well.
Yeah, you weren't leaving people high and dry in the training space.
There was still options.
There was options.
Yeah.
Interstate options for us in SA, but
correct. But a lot of our clientele was from interstate.
Okay.
To be fair, a lot of people were traveling to come and hang out with us, which was cool.
Yeah.
The other thing that was kicking off around this time was PRS.
Yep.
And so I, for those who may not know that history of mine, I was director of PRS from when it started through to 2023. And so PRS was starting to kick off. That 2017 was the first match. I don't think we've got any memorabilia in this room about it.
Oh, the first match?
About the first match? No, not this one. Anyway, we got some stuff around the building. And so so that was coming on board. And then actually I think it was on the course at the end of I got the call about, hey, you can't do this anymore. I think it was the next day I got a call from a mate who had started this little business called Scoped Out, and it was going well, but it was now starting to compete for his attention with his actual job. But he was, in a real job, he got paid real money, and was like, I either need to like slow this right down or palm it off.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's like, you interested in buying it? I'm like, funny you mentioned that right at the moment. Yeah. yeah, that would line up. And that actually we thought that'd take like a month or two to work out. He uncovered some challenges with some history on the accounting side of things from, anyway, don't have to go into that. But point is that was going to be a couple of months to get that all done, turned into like a 9-month process to actually finalise all of that. So I ended up, if you saw me early days in gun shows or PRS stuff, I have a van. I went and bought a van and started doing courier work to keep food on the table. And the courier work was good because I could still answer phone calls and I'd finish up, sort of mid-afternoon, go home, pack orders and carry on.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I did that for about a year. And during that time, travelled around the gun shows. So if anyone came across, scoped out a projectile warehouse at all the little gun shows around the country, I was doing about 18 of them a year. Literally back then.
That's a lot of travelling for gun shows.
It was a lot of travelling. Could load up the van with all the gear, like our entire stock, plus like some display stuff, jump in the van and off we went. And it was...
How many vans do you reckon you would need now to take all your stock to a gun show?
I can't count that high. One really, really big one, maybe.
Just a semi?
Road train, probably. Maybe not a road train, but yes, there would be more vans needed than we currently have. We'd probably need like a van and a half just for like display setups, I suspect.
Going from the last display that you had, you probably need two and a half.
2.5 vans.
Yep.
Probably not wrong. And so, we were traveling around. And of course, PRS was intermixed with the travel and sort of line up a gun show and then go to a PRS match, then another gun show and then go home. I wasn't home a whole lot during that period. But that was ticking along. And, it was good. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But it was never particularly successful. But, just enjoyed what I was doing. It was good industry, good friends. Worked from home when I was actually at home. And then COVID hit.
Yep.
What were you doing during COVID, Maxwell?
Well, I still worked through most of it.
Essential worker.
Had a couple of weeks here and there where it was real bad, where we didn't work.
Yep.
But most of it just worked through it and shot. And when I wasn't actually at work, I started my businesses.
There you go.
And got stuck into that. We've spoken about that before, I think, on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have.
So go back and look at another episode to hear about me.
There you go. And Josh, what were you? Because this is just before you creep into the business. But what were you doing? Sort of starting
I was working
COVID?
at schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Sort of on the tail end of really starting to not enjoy it.
Okay. Obviously, making videos and in the media world in schools.
Yeah, it's sort of not so much like in the school sort of stuff, but as a side sort of hobby.
No, what were you doing in schools? Because you were doing nothing to do with media
I wasn't.
at all.
I was doing before and after school care.
Yeah.
So I was running around pelting dodgeballs and playing outside with kids.
Oh, so not much has changed, really.
No, not really. I just run around pelting cameras at people's faces.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes, I wasn't in the media space, and I was sort of on the side. I started to look into it. I was doing a bit of mountain bike riding, 4-wheel driving, and just went, it'd be good to document some of this, and then went, cameras have always interested me, and started getting into it from there.
Yeah, right. So to wind back a little bit, when we started, we didn't have any money for advertising or anything like that, but I had a bit of a background in production, in making videos, not to any professional level, not to any good level really back then, but I knew my way around camera. I spent most of my high school career on an edit desk at school. Went on to try and study that after school. Got about 3 months in. I'm like, no, I'm out.
Just didn't enjoy the study.
I actually didn't get on well with the person that was running the course, the instructor.
That's always difficult when you don't get on with someone, and it's like, I don't want to listen to you because I don't like you.
Don't want to be here. Yeah, and so that sort of, I was like, I'm out of this. I'm not, that's all right. So I started doing a bit of that, and actually, so if you go back and you scroll through to our first YouTube videos, and a bunch that are no longer there, but our first YouTube video, it's not me, because I was not willing to get on camera.
You were the cameraman.
I was behind the camera, and I found someone who was much better on camera. And so it was, he was great, Stuart. Shout out to him, who's, don't see him very often these days, but top bloke. He did a few of the gun shows with us and stuff, some of the big ones. But Stu, he lives like an hour and a half away from me. Probably not dissimilar to like the distance to you, Maxwell, although a bit further away.
Yeah, a little bit.
And he was working during the week, running his own business in the engineering world. And so on a weekend, he would come down, we'd spend like a day filming, hanging out, have lunch together, do all that sort of gear, and then he'd head off. And as we got busier, because of the videos we were making, promoting and doing all that sort of gear, my weekend started to get booked up with shooting training and shooting things, which meant we couldn't film together, which meant if I wanted to make videos, it was during the week and I had to do it. So out of necessity, and perhaps to many people's detriment these days, I got pretty comfortable on camera.
Yep.
And just went, well, I have to do it. I hated every minute of it. So if you were out there and you were like, I need to be on camera for business or for whatever it is, and you're like, I hate this. This is terrible. That's okay. It gets better. It gets easier.
The more time you spend behind the camera, it becomes more comfortable.
In front actually helps.
Yeah. Being behind it is better.
Yeah?
Yeah, I find,
Okay. Being behind it helps you be in front of it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if you self-film yourself a lot. If you can film other people for a while before you have to film yourself.
Okay.
And sort of, I found sort of running behind a camera.
Yep.
Sort of learn all the things that I needed to do behind the camera before I had to get in front of the camera.
Okay.
And then it makes you feel more comfortable because you're like, okay, everything's on the camera is set up good and I can just go be behind it now and I don't have to worry.
I didn't find that. I just had to do repetition, edit out all the rubbish.
Oh, you still got to do that.
We still do that now.
You still got to do that, but
there was a lot more back then. Yeah. And so media had always been a big part of it. And actually the first, one of the guys I got contracting was actually a media person, friend of the family who did some media sort of gear, and he came on board. And that's when I went from using camcorders, like Sony camcorders, to actual DSLRs, like cameras that had like focus that you could change and get that amazing like background blur. I'm like, oh, this looks amazing. I should do this. And he taught me how to run an actual camera. Very early
Did it
days.
make you better in front of it?
Well, yes. He actually would coach pretty well. Like he sort of knew what he wanted from a performance point of view. And so he would like tell, and that's probably actually where a bunch of that had come from.
Yeah.
So shout out to Richie who was involved in all of that. And then just, we got quiet and the things changed, and so we didn't really have the budget to do anything there.
Yep.
Up until COVID.
That happens.
And then COVID came in and 3 states I think had their gun shops shut down, which is horrible. And of course a lot of gun shops, particularly then, a lot of updated these days, but back then not many were online. And so we were online, and so as everything shut down and people couldn't go anywhere, we got very, very busy.
Yep.
And so lots of orders came through, particularly on the projectile warehouse side. We're just packing orders all day. Decided, it's going to be quiet. We'll rewrite our websites. Whoops. And also we were doing like a live I was doing a live stream once a day for an hour.
I remember the lives. Yep.
Yeah, because the PRS side of things, obviously competitions shut down because it was all national travel.
Yep.
And so we couldn't run a competition. So I'm like, I need to do something to sort of, keep engaged with these people, and sort of for a lot of people, like give them something interesting to do related to what they love.
Just out of curiosity, and a question I had written down, do you think you managing PRS had a big impact on how successful your business became? Or do you think there was another major driver of people to?
It's a really interesting question. Yeah, it certainly played a factor.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, PRS sort of got connected with a lot of it, but I would say that a huge amount of our customer base is outside of that world.
Yep.
The vast majority of our customer base would be outside of that world. It certainly plays a role with our customer base.
Yeah.
So
I'm just thinking from like a lot of the media around the business through those PRS years was very PRS related and sort of long range shooting driven.
Yes.
Because you were doing so much in the area, obviously. Do you think that sort of brought more people into wanting to shoot long range, not so much PRS, but wanting to improve their shooting in general?
Yeah, I think from obviously I can say like from PRS growing and developing, more people got into long range shooting, and we've seen that not just in Australia, we've seen that worldwide. As PRS as a discipline has, or precision rifle as a discipline has grown worldwide, more and more people have gone into that world. The technology is caught up. People have been you go back years ago, and Ruger and Ticker and Remington and Savage and all this, and none of those guys were making rifles that were dedicated to this sort of stuff, right? And so you've seen that massive pickup from the industry sort of embrace that and really lean into it. I remember like when I was back at the gun shop that I talked about before, you'd have you wouldn't have chassis on the shelf. You would have timber stocks and you would have like polymer stocks, and you might have one chassis, and it was the gun that everyone was like, oh my gosh, that looks amazing. You go in there now and like 50% of them are chassis.
Yep.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh yeah, another one.
Yeah, it's just another chassis.
There's a new one out, it's fine.
Yeah. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but like that has played a big role. And of course we were doing media on that sort of element because that's the stuff that I did.
Yep.
That was driven a lot out of, so Southern Shooters Training became Impact Dynamics.
Yep.
And so through Impact Dynamics, obviously feeding back into that. But back then we did keep that and Projectile Warehouse a little bit separate.
Yep.
More separated. And then PRS was actually quite separate to those as well. There was crossover across those ones, but particularly on the PRS side, because I had other sponsors that were involved, some to a more significant level than what I was sponsoring it at. And so that we kept that very business-like within those sort of relationships. Josh helped, did a lot of that as he came into the business and did a lot of the PRS sort of side. And it was very, very structured around like
this is what we need to do, and that's what they get.
Absolutely.
You take your everyday hat off and you put your PRS hat on, and
But did I answer the question?
Yeah, kind of. I think so.
We got there?
Yeah, I think we got there.
Yeah. So COVID really blew us up, and so we're doing these these live streams every day. It's an hour a day, and then redoing a website, and then also this packing orders, and it got to the point where something's got to give, right? And this would be post live stream, I think. Josh, that would have been finished up.
Yeah.
The daily one.
Sort of just started wrapping up.
Yeah. We've skipped past something here.
Oh, sorry.
We've skipped past your moves.
My moves? No, we haven't.
No, we haven't got there yet.
No, we haven't got there yet.
Surely that was
it's coming soon.
Okay, there we go.
Josh was before.
Yeah, because I remember them.
Yeah,
Josh was involved.
I remember the moves. Yeah.
So we were based at home the whole period, obviously in the van a bit and traveling, but we were based initially in my front room. You go back, you'll see some videos in my front room, and like the amount of stock we had fit in a corner to start with, and then grow out, and then so. I was trying to work out, do I get someone to help me with videos? Because that was about 6-7 hours of my day do I help I get someone with packing orders? Because that was about 6-7 hours of my day as well. And so I sort of thought if I get someone with the video side of things, one, there's an element of being like across the orders and like seeing, oh, hang on, those two things don't go together. You know, being able to have that knowledge of it. And also we were still sort of in the throes of COVID. We weren't in Victoria, but we still were in the throes of it. And you're like, oh, someone who doesn't have to necessarily come here to work is probably beneficial given I was home-based.
Yep.
Spoke to a friend of mine and she said, oh, yeah, my brother-in-law does some media stuff. You should speak to him. I'm like, oh, all right. So we stalked his Facebook page and watched some of the videos and went, I get what he's trying to achieve.
Was not achieving.
I think I looked at him like, yeah. And so I rang this guy up and I'm like, hey, look, this is what I'm doing and I'm looking for someone to do this. Do you remember that call, Josh?
Yeah, I hate this conversation because I never come out looking good from it.
Except if people watch your videos now, they look great.
Now it's great.
Yeah. But you, no, I actually think it's really human of your response of it is this was a hobby for you. And do you remember the call?
It was an early hobby at that. Yeah, and I get that for myself. It was I'm definitely not anywhere near good enough for someone to pay me to do this. Like the stuff that I'm making for myself, like, yes, I'm just tinkering around, but to actually do this for someone and get some money, like I don't feel like I'm adequate enough to do what someone is paying for.
So Josh didn't
kind of
ring
like
me
radio
back.
silent.
He
didn't ring you back.
Didn't call me back.
Ghosted.
And I thought, well, I like Beth enough, I like my friend enough that I'll give her one chance. I'll call him back. Which is unheard of these days, but give me a call back. Called him back and like, hey man, like, what's up? Like, are you interested? And from memory, Josh, you're like, I'm interested.
Yeah.
And I think if I've got these words right, you're like, I just don't think I'm good enough. And I said, well, that's okay. I can't afford good enough. I think I can afford you.
Perfect.
And I don't know if he was offended or delighted. But I said, how about you come and at least let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And he did. What did you feel after that? Offended?
No, I don't think it was offended. It was more just like, okay, we'll see how this plays out.
Yep. So a day or two later, on a Wednesday, I get this knock on the door and there's this child standing on my front doorstep. And I'm like, can I help you? And he's like, I'm Josh. I'm here for this interview. I'm like, the one that's tomorrow.
I was just being way too enthusiastic. 24 hours early.
24 hours early.
It can't be too early, right?
You can't be.
To the minute, like bang on time. Yeah, punctual.
He sat outside for 48 hours before that.
Yeah.
Camped in my front yard.
Was living off mammy noodles, just crunching away.
Anyway, I said, oh, cool, come on in. Sat down. And I think I said, who do you watch on YouTube? Right? So from a creative point of view, if you generally will be have some inspirations and most of them will be on YouTube and you'll sort of be able to cite a few people like, oh, I love these videos and this and this. And I sort of knew what he was going to say because I'd seen the videos that Josh had made.
Yep.
Had a style to them.
Yeah, had some styles and you're like, I know where that's coming from. And he basically dropped my subscription list of YouTube creators that I was watching at the same time.
Perfect.
I'm like, I think we're going to get along just fine. Just fine. And came on board. I said, look, I don't know how this is going to go. Day a week. And Josh's like, yeah.
Yep. This is at the point, I think I was in between, like Osh stuff had kind of was up and down. So I was a few days a week. So I had lots of time free. So for me, it was probably a good way to start it of one day a week was actually paid work. And then I'd kind of just tinker away with doing things anyway as all right, well, I've now got other stuff that's not my things. I'm just going to learn. I'm going to, work my 8 hours and I'm going to work the next 2 days after that and just how can I do this better? How can I do it quicker and try and refine things?
And definitely saw that. And I guess for someone who's in that position, we had talked about that. It's like, here's what we're going to expect. If you want to use this particular project and be like, hey, I want to make the scene looking absolutely amazing as a journey for me to learn more about how to do that, go nuts. Don't expect it because you're not being paid for it. But if you want to use it as learning.
It's experience.
To Josh's credit, I think it was within a few weeks you quit your other job that was like 4 days.
Yeah, it wasn't that long. I think it was we hit 2 or 3 days a week.
just 2
and I was
days.
just like,
Yeah.
I'm out. See you later. I'm done.
I can go press record somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, stop throwing dodging balls around and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So Josh came on board, and that would have been sort of mid, I think it was August, off memory.
Yeah, it was July or August.
July, August, something like that. In
Of
2020,
2020.
Yep.
COVID year.
COVID
A
year.
wonderful year.
Yep.
And the first move, Maxwell, that you were referring to was September 2020.
Was it really?
It really was. Yep. So
You sound so disappointed by that.
I swear it was earlier than that. I thought it was 2019.
No.
How dare you not move earlier?
Oh, yeah, I know, right?
No, because we didn't need to, right,
Yep.
in 2019, because COVID is what really gave us a spark.
Really ramped it up.
I guess at that point, our systems, why it probably worked for us, our systems were in place and our process was good, that when the scaling came, like when you go from I used to walk up to the post office with a backpack with the orders in the backpack,
I remember.
right? Walk up there and you're like, okay, drop it all off, perfect. A little bit of health and fitness for the day. Obviously, that's not a factor anymore, as you can tell. But you used to walk up to the post office with the orders. And then
It's a steep hill too.
Yeah, it's a steep hill. Through COVID, very quickly, you're like, I have to drive. There's no way, there is no way. I'll be doing 10 runs up there a day.
Yeah.
And so, yes, very, very rapidly. And so I remember actually taking my wife out to the garage. I had moved everything out there. I just received a delivery. I put it all in. I opened the door and we couldn't get in. And I'm like, I need to do something about this. And so I found storage units.
Yep.
And found storage units would have power that we could go to and actually work out of. And we set up a couple of storage units side by side, took the middle wall out and put all the racks in there, and away we went. And you were involved in helping with that, weren't you, Maxwell?
That was a lot of lead to move.
A lot of lead to move. Yeah, imagine doing it now.
Yeah. No, thank you. Don't move ever again.
That's the plan.
I'm going to have COVID that week.
that month. So that was the start of the little move, and then our warehouse guy came on board not too long after. Would have been February afterwards. I remember talking to him like, hey, look, we're in storage units. Like, it's a bit sucky to walk to the toilet, and then if the front office is closed because old mate's at KFC, which he was about 4 times a day, you'd have to walk down to the servo to go to the toilet, which wasn't great if you were holding it in tightly.
Yep.
He came in actually. We had a coffee machine, but I'm like, man, if you want milk in your coffee, you're required to clean the coffee machine like immediately after doing it. Have your coffee and then go clean it up, and you've got to walk 100 meters to go to the tap. I'm like, well, Josh and I drink black coffee, right? Not because of this. We just drink black coffee anyway. Did you drink black coffee before we started hanging out, Josh?
I did. I was sort of just starting to get into it.
Okay.
That was the McKinnonness of Chemexes. Yeah. Yeah.
So we would drink black coffee, and I'm like, hey, Joe, so if you are down with that, he's like, man, I'm married in Italian. They'll expect me to enjoy espresso. So this tastes like hot dirt to me, but I guess I'll do it. To this day, so when he's here, he still drinks black coffee.
Yep.
And even when we've got milk in the building, still drinks black coffee. Converted him.
Converted. Yep.
So when he came on board, he was I talked about, hey, one day we might move out and it'd be great and we'd be growing and all that sort of stuff. And he sort of in his mind was like, okay, cool, couple of years time, 2, 3, 4 years, let's see how we go.
Yep.
April, I'm like, we'd moved to 3 storage units and we're eyeing off a 4th one at this point. I'm like, maybe we just pull the trigger and going somewhere. And we moved down to a place called Tonsley, which is our first place. We actually had a little shop where people could come to.
Yep.
Tiny. It was about the size of this room, the little front area.
Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Not too dissimilar to what is the office now.
That's a crazy step.
And this is about 178 square meters. A little warehouse, a little reloading area at the back, and the little showroom that eventually got done up, and then upstairs area where Josh sat in the middle, I sat to one side, and eventually we ended up with 2 editors who would rotate a day or 2 each another in this other area, and then we sort of had this little studio because we've always done podcasts, we've always done videos, so we had a dedicated studio.
Yep.
What do you remember of that place, Josh?
The sloped roof and the chaos.
You're going to have to explain both of those things, I think.
One studio had a sloped roof, so it was good. No, it wasn't good. It was terrible for lighting because you'd get your lighting stands and you'd have one corner that you could have them really high and do top-down lighting and it was great, and the other side that you really couldn't.
Yep.
Like it almost touched my head standing down the other side. That says something.
Yep.
And chaos of, I mean, we had an open view into the warehouse and we had employees down in the warehouse. And so we would just be able to pick up Nerf guns.
We had Joe. We had Joe.
We did have Joe in the warehouse.
They had one person they could shoot at.
Yeah. Oh, but it happened a lot.
I bet.
It happened a lot. And all the TikToks would be gone now. They all got deleted in our last one. If you ever saw our old TikToks, you would have seen the shenanigans.
If you can track down my TikTok, many of those shenanigans are still there.
Yes.
So back then there was 3 of us in the business, and Maxwell, you would have dropped in many times.
Yeah, about once or twice a week, probably.
And we would do like a TikTok where we'd like each for a couple of Fridays we'd like work out, okay, who's paying for lunch, and so we'd do some sort of Nerf gun challenge or something on those lines. We'd film and make a video out of, and then whoever lost had to pay for lunch. And it was we had, so many people coming through the door into the shop that we could just close on Friday for lunch, put a note on the door, here's the number, call us, and we'll be here in 3 minutes, go down to the pub and have lunch. No one ever called. No one ever called.
No. They'd probably just come down to the pub and have lunch.
Probably. I think we did, like, we're at the Tonsley Hotel if you want to come and join us. Otherwise, we'll be back. Call us and we'll be back here in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And, we just, like, the phone calls would go to my phone and, we just pick them up if, the phone would ring. Very rarely rang back there. I enjoyed that place. It was fantastic. We had this like little coffee bar up the top. So, 20 meters away from Josh and I's desk, it was a coffee bar. So it was always afternoon coffee. So many TikToks about coffee.
So many TikToks. Just so many TikToks in general.
It was a good place.
It's good times there.
Good memories.
Good times. But after about 13 months of being there, we could no longer fit into the place. I think there was 2 editors on top of, so there was 2 guys working like 2 days a week or so, rotating on there, and then we would have 2 other sales staff in there, and we're like, we are like just falling over each other. The warehouse wasn't full, but it was on its way.
And the amount of evolution that place went through of, reloading bench here and then that would move here and desks would go in here and things were always changing and evolving around.
Shuffling the racks to try and fit more racks in.
Yep. Trying to accommodate for more people.
So after about 13 months, we're like, we need to make a move. And we moved into this place. That was July 1st, 2022. Because I missed one of the first PRS matches I missed because I was here getting keys.
Yep.
I didn't get to that one in Sydney.
I remember that one.
Yeah. How wet was that one?
It rained all weekend. And when I say that, literally all weekend.
Yep.
It
was solid. So
espresso martinis were good though.
So you told me. I remember all the banners coming back and I set up racks in this building but with nothing on them at that time. So I just hung all the banners on the racks for them to dry out in the warehouse.
Perfect. Yeah.
That worked well. So we moved in here over about, I think you guys, the media guys moved in first.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And then we sort of, I think there was a particular weekend we'd sort of set up a bunch of racks in here and shelving and stuff and then moved in.
Yep. Shuffling. How many Bunnings trips did you make? Like was it ever calculated?
30 a day.
Yeah.
It was a few.
I remember that from every move, just the amount of, we've got to go to Bunnings.
Yeah.
You get back 10 minutes later, we've got to go to Bunnings.
It's super dangerous having a Bunnings credit account. It's a real challenge. And I remember, we'd come in and we were like, we had the couches you guys are sitting on. They were in the showroom and there was a full couch in the showroom just because we had to fill out the showroom with something because we didn't have anywhere near enough.
Yep.
And so we moved into this place. This place, 800 square meters. So we'd gone from like 178 to 800 and we literally didn't know what to do with the space.
It's a lot of space.
It felt like it at the time.
Yeah.
Now it's not shrinking, but it's certainly using a lot more of it.
It's filling in well.
Yeah. Yeah. And so 22. We moved in here. We started hiring a few more people, and it's grown rapidly. And we've only got our customers to thank for it. But that's been 10 and a bit years of evolution to get where we are now. And now I guess people have discovered us and know what we're doing, and
keep coming back.
More people walk in the door. We can't close just to go down the pub for lunch on Friday. Josh and I have to sneak out with no one else noticing. That's what
happens.
Doesn't happen.
Other people can answer the phone, I guess, for that one at the moment, which is good.
Well, I've got a proper throwback question.
Oh, here we go. Yes.
When you first started making sample packs, do you remember
making what?
Sample packs?
Sample packs, yes.
Do you remember the first one you packed?
I don't.
No.
But I do remember some of the first ones. So the first, I talked about that pack of different things.
Yep.
So in there was a 210 grain Nosler Akibond long range.
Yep.
For 308.
Yep.
There was a 230 burger hybrid target, I think.
Yep.
There was now we're testing memory. I think a 208 AMAX from Hornady.
Yeah.
That's 3. There would have been something in Sierra there as well, maybe 175, or maybe that's a bit light on. Anyway, there would have been something from Sierra in there, and I've forgotten what the other one would have been. But maybe like a 2 ELD matches weren't around then. Anyway, it was that, and we also did the other one we started with was a 22 varmint pack. So it would have been off memory. 50 grain VMAX, 55 ballistic tip, 55 VMAX, something from Spear, I'm sure, something from Sierra as well, like 55 grain.
Yep.
Nosler.
Thought I'd try and test the memory
Nosler
there.
ballistic tip. Yep. That was the first one. So that they were the two, I guess, sort of trials we went with.
Yep.
I'm sure there was a 6.5 box in there, but I couldn't tell you what was in it.
Yeah.
Future, bringing that question in the future, how many sample packs do you do now?
As in like
how many brands, how many different projectiles do you reckon you have in?
Wow, I don't have that number.
Yeah.
I don't have that number. It's pretty
Take a
much
guess.
so what we did do is we culled. What we're finding is anything over about 30 cal, very very slow to move.
Yep.
And so we made anything above 30 cal we don't do a sample pack for, because we'd like a 458 or something, and you make a sample pack. Of course, you make one, you make now 10.
10, yeah.
And we'd sell that one, and then you got 9, and they just sit there forever.
Yeah.
And so we sort of found the sweet spot was 30. Occasionally we get asked for something a bit higher, but we haven't. Haven't
it's
done
just not.
And then so 30 cal down, and pretty much everything. There'd be a couple of exceptions that I know about, like the Spartans, where a pack of 500 in lead. They're so cheap anyway. They do a 30 cal, and most of what they do is handgun, but they do a 30 cal, mostly for 30-30, like running
lever guns and
lever
stuff.
guns and those
Western
sort of things.
action shooters.
Exactly right. Pretty
High
low
volume
loads.
stuff.
Yeah. And so for that sort of stuff we don't do sample packs, but pretty much everything else, 30 cal or less, in any of the brands we deal with, we will offer in a sample pack. Yep. Sometimes, Burger, as you guys know, Burger changed their supplier recently. When we first got them in, we only got the 100 packs in. And after a little bit of time, because we knew there'll be a big rush on them, and there was a lot of the lines sold out within a day or so, because it's been so long since supply had been here.
Yep.
But once the dust settled on stock and with supply was a bit better, then we did open up the sample pack
So
options.
you've still got stock of burgers now?
Depending on the burger,
Don't tell the Americans.
Yeah, we did make a video that got a lot of comments. Josh made a video when he was in the US about burger coming to Australia, and we got lots of abuse. So it was great. It was great.
Enjoy looking at the burgers on the shelf.
Yeah. Do you remember the day burgers arrived here, Josh?
Which burgers?
The first load of burger projectiles.
Yeah, didn't they were all I couldn't do anything with them because they were going out the door.
There was an element of that, but more interestingly, we ordered burgers for lunch. Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a shipment of burgers coming in,
You got to get burgers.
only logical thing to do.
Only so we can make a TikTok about it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Seems sensible.
Actually, they were good burgers too.
They were good burgers, yeah.
Now I want a burger.
Well, there you go. We've got a warehouse full of them.
What grain would you like?
I'm the one with Angus in it.
Any other questions, Maxwell?
I have one.
Yeah, you go to your
You look yours up,
So,
Maxwell. and-
Obviously, 10 years,
yeah.
a little bit more than that for other things.
Let's say 10 years.
What has been the biggest thing that's changed over that 10 to, I mean, you've been in the industry longer than that.
I have.
So how long have you been, I'll retract that question for now. How long have you been in the industry in general?
2008.
For those that don't know.
Was when I started working at a gun shop part-time. And so that puts me at 17 years or thereabouts.
Yep.
Somewhere like that.
Well, in the 17 years you've been in the industry, what's been one of the biggest thing that has changed over the years?
Probably the two biggest shifts I've seen is what we talked about before a little bit, Maxwell, was the shift into the long range world.
Yep.
It's that sort of long range where you used to be at the dark arts and sort of, you really had to be right into it to really be able to make that work well.
Yep.
Became so much more approachable, so much easier. Technology became so much cheaper. The ability with scopes became more prevalent. The guns that were set up to do that became more prevalent.
Yep.
That's one of the biggest things I've seen. And part of that's due to PRS, but not exclusively to PRS. There's been more factors in there. There's been completely external to the industry factors.
Yep.
And the other one would have been the increase in night optics, digital optics. Yeah, the night vision thermals, that sort of stuff. Where, remember, so when Scoped Out first started running that in 2018, we were selling maybe a thermal every 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Now it's several a day.
I mean, I can attest to that one from
since
even
you came on
just
board,
from when
yeah.
I started. You would have, like, if we got a pulsar or something through the door to take photos of, it was just like, oh my God, yes, get all the cameras and take all the photos, do all of the things. There's a thermal in the building,
Yeah.
and now I walk past a shelf with them and go, there's not really much that stands out.
There's lots of amazing thermals on the shelf, Josh.
There is a lot of amazing thermals,
That's what I
but
thought you were
that
gonna say.
wow factor has gone because you've gone
there's
from
so
one
many
comes
of
in the
them.
door to
You're just overwhelmed.
there's a shelf full of them.
There
Yeah.
is a shelf full of them. There's
So that
8 shelves full of them and more waiting to go out.
It is
Yes.
overwhelming amount of thermals.
But it's actually changed. So in this business, there's lots of a lot of your products are evergreen, or for argument's sake, last a long time. So you can buy a scope, and that same scope will still be super relevant, super current for 6, 7, 8 years, right?
Yeah.
So from a business point of view, not that those guys who run business and understand it, you don't want to buy something and hold on to it for 8 years and then sell it because it didn't sell. But that time frame has shrunk down to, if you have a thermal on the shelf for 9 months, from a turnover point of view, from a dollars point of view, that's a problem. Rather than, it's still as good as everything else on the market was, that sort of thing. Obviously, projectiles don't change a whole lot. It's still same projectiles that your granddad would have, a particular Nosler partition. You can still buy that same one that's been around for however long. Yeah. So that has been a big shift for us to understand how to actually do that. It feels much more like we're a technology business, like selling laptops and phones, than the day optics. So that's been an interesting challenge. Good and something dynamic, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Josh did just steal my question, so
Do you want to answer it again?
if you could, that'd be great.
What I said before.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. Thank you. No, what's one of your biggest milestones or achievements with the business? Is there a particular moment in time that stood out to you as like, wow, we've really done something special? Or
Yeah, I'm going to sidetrack a little bit from this one because there's one moment that stands out from PRS side of things. Yep. So I was involved in that, and so I finished up end of 2023. And for those who perhaps either unsure or maybe didn't listen to the other podcast we did, that I left because it'd been growing year on year, been really sort of, obviously except COVID, but it'd been really, really fun and engaging. It was a lot of travel. And it was, when I'd travel, I'd be away for a week plus for those sort of things.
Yeah.
Got a youngish family and sort of wanted to be home more. But also I really enjoyed it, but I was sort of out of ideas isn't right, but it's not wrong. Right? I was like, okay, I think we've every year we've iterated, we've improved. now I'm feeling a little stale in sort of like if I run it for another year, we're going to carbon copy last year and paste again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't love that. This thing is still too young and too growing. It needs fresh eyes, fresh ideas, and fresh enthusiasm. And so I stepped aside from that. But the first year we did one match, and there was like an exhibition match. And so the moment that stood out to me was the second year of the finale. A couple of years prior, when we were trying to get off the ground, I had someone pretty senior in one of the shooting organisations in Australia tell me, in no uncertain terms, that PRS would never see the light of day in Australia.
Yep.
Never. And I remember we finished up the season, we awarded the championship, we did all the things, gave away the prize, all this sort of gear. And someone handed me a microphone, really bad idea. And I sort of said, I wanted to thank everyone that was there. And I sort of got like, 2 years ago, someone told me this would never happen. And here we are today. And obviously I was more excited about it and more emotional about it at the time. But I do remember that sort of standing out of like, hey, we got told we couldn't do this. And someone said, no, this will never happen. You'll never see this come to fruition. And while it's, like I think about it now, where it is now, you're like, oh my gosh, it's a pretty dominant sort of factor on the competition landscape. It's 2 years ago I was involved, but still it's grown more. And so you're like, man, that's back then that sort of ignited a fire of like, said we can't do this. Let's see how wrong you're going to be.
Yeah,
it's opened up the doors for other things to come over too.
Oh, true.
Now with like PRS 22s kicking off and NRL 22 has come over here, and you've got a wider gamut of precision rifle style matches that, like I dare say, wouldn't have happened without PRS coming over initially.
Yeah, definitely. Like you look at all the clubs that run NRL matches now. Over the entire country. It's crazy.
To be fair, someone would have done it, right? Not just me. And there was plenty of people involved. I'm definitely not claiming responsibility for all of it. I just had a little bit that I did. But someone would have done it. But someone had to do it. And so, me and a few other guys, we got there. But I was very stoked the fact that we had gone there.
Yep.
That was really cool. Really cool. So in this business, I think it's a good question. There is one, right?
There's one.
There is a time, and you were involved with it, and you were involved with it, Josh.
Jeez. Here we go.
So we used to do the Shot Expos, all right? Shot Expo was sort of a highlight of the year for us. And I remember the first time we went, actually Sean from STS was here this week, sat on this couch, and we're talking about the good old days, as you do, because we're both old now. And I remember my first Shot Expo on a stand was with him, and I would take up about this much. He had like a 3x3 meter stand, had both sides on it, and I would take up like this little 1 meter by 1 meter part on it with all my projectiles. And I had a mate come over and help me out, and that was us. Here we are. Look at us. We've got a tiny little sign on the side. We're not even like, our booth's not even got a name on it.
Yeah,
it just has STS. Cool. And then I remember progressing. We ended up having 2 stands to ourselves. We booted Sean off because no,
that's what you do.
He had his own stand and he was doing really well. And so I remember actually we had a photo of like the last one prior to COVID, and last Shot Expo that we're involved with. And we had a team of like 6, 7 of us and all T-shirts that matched and like this huge big sort of thing. And we were busy. You're like, oh, cool. But it was a break-even exercise. You sort of go along. It was more of a marketing thing. You cut some deals and you do all this sort of gear. And I just roped heaps of friends in.
Best way to do it.
And that would have been, 2019 or thereabouts, right? And then finally Shot Expo came back, and this was, it was end of last year, 2024. And we had this stand, and I think I'd lashed out and gotten 3 bays.
3 bays.
I thought, oh man, this will be, this is a lot of commitment. I'm not sure we're ready for this. Let's see how we go. I continuously apologise to anyone who came along to that show because we were about 6 people deep.
The entire time.
Whole stand, the entire time. It was just overwhelming. And I was, at the time we were flat out, but I was pretty emotional about it, of like to sort of see where it was to where it is now, and for these people to like want to come. And they had to like go to the right of the back of the show. Like we went right at the front. They had to find all their way to the back of the show and stand in line to speak to us. And people did. And we were just blown away by the fact that people would like beeline to us, come and see us and want to chat and talk. And
the numbers of people was just insanity.
Yeah. And you were on the stand, and Josh, you were there for a day filming.
Every time coming back towards the stand, you had to, traverse through people just to
you
get,
almost just
to
had to
get
go
back.
around the whole block of other
Yeah.
stands just to get it back
Yeah.
around. It was
Yeah, it was wild, and just to have that amazing support of people that came along and wanted to. I mean, we did have people just come up and say, "Hey, it's great to meet you, great to see you." Obviously, plenty of people were there to buy us stuff and that sort of gear. And I wrote a friend in, which was you.
Yep.
We had, I think, so I guess yourself, Josh, and then was it only Stuart that came over? One staff member.
Yeah.
And the rest of the guys that were on our stand were industry guys who wanted to partner with us for the weekend, which is also a sign of support and like, oh, wow, okay, awesome. So
we had a really good group there.
We had a fantastic group of crew and, quite literally blown away by the support from the punters coming along. And it's the stark contrast, not the prior was bad, it was amazing, we loved it, but the stark contrast of that sort of last gun show that we'd done where we were busy enough and it was stoked, it was great, to where we were this time, you're like, holy crap, like, wow, thanks everyone. So that was a real standout
moment. Yeah. I'd pick that moment too. That was pretty cool. It was a great weekend.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed that one. So.
It was, I do remember, I think we talked about this maybe on the podcast, but like you and I were the drivers on the Saturday, and we were trying to get these guys to come out and actually go have some food. But every time they're like, let's go back to the Airbnb and get pizza or Indian or something, which is.
We'll just get some takeout. We're all tired.
Everyone's. And then I asked everyone, like, Saturday night, hey guys, we've had a really busy day. Let's go out and let's just order it and sit there and chat and actually, wait for our food. All the guys were like, no, we're good. No, let's just go back and just get something. Which we're in a decent Airbnb, fair enough. And then I looked at you, I'm like, do you want to go out? And you're like,
I could go out.
I'm like, well, we're the only ones driving, so how about we just get in the car and drive to a pub?
And that we did.
And to be fair, no one really complained.
No,
they're like,
no one
sat
complained.
down. We walked in, like, there's 12 of us, and they're like, yeah, cool, here you go. And I'm like, sick. It's good food. It was, good drinks, and very glad we did.
Yep, that was good.
That was a good weekend.
For sure.
Wrecked, but anyway.
I spent a week hunting after that.
Certainly did.
Perfect.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Any plans for celebrations? I guess 10 years is a big milestone.
Well, yes.
Are you going to do anything for it?
This podcast.
There you go.
No.
Enjoy, guys. Enjoy.
More confetti on the screen. Here we go, more explosions. We do have a celebration planned, Maxwell. In fact, the night that this drops out, we're going to take the team out for dinner. And then at the end of July, the 25th, 26th, so the Friday, Saturday, we are doing what should we call it, like an in-store extravaganza.
We'll go with that. Extravaganza.
We have.
I can't even say that word.
What'd you say?
That's how you know it's good. Maxwell can't say it.
I can't say it.
Okay.
It's too much English for me.
Too much English. So we're going to have a bunch of reps here. So most of our major brands going to have sort of representation here. And it's 2 days. There's going to be like a thermal dedicated time on the Friday night.
Yep.
Saturday, we're locking the details, but there's going to be like a reloading 101 session. And then there'll be a reloading 909, I guess, because Steve Hertz can be answering questions.
Oh, wow.
So the big dog is going to be taking questions. So if you know a bit about reloading, want to take it up a level, that's going to be the time. So that's all going to be part of it. There's a donuts van coming.
It's the only reason I'm coming.
Yeah.
Yep. And coffee. We've got a barista.
Is that the donut van we talked about the other day? The gluten-free donut van?
Yes, it is. So you'll be able to enjoy them, Maxwell.
I will be able to enjoy donuts. I like their donuts. They are very good.
So donuts, coffee, and there's a few other things we're working on to confirm, not confirmed yet. But it's going to be a good fun couple of days. Obviously some deals in store and stuff if you are going to make your way down here. So if you ever need an excuse to come and visit us, we're going to be open later on the Saturday and later Friday night. We'll be, I think, probably just 24 hours of,
There will just be swags in the car park, so watch out for us.
So it should be good fun. I think we've got some plans to pit the reps against each other.
Oh, yes, there
in
is.
some basketball competitions and some other
Perfect.
stuff. We're gonna have the basketball ring set up. We have some slot cars set up. We're gonna it'll be a bit of fun. So
If you want to come and beat the rep from your favourite company, now's the time.
Yep. And if you pay extra, you can beat them up. Yeah.
Oh, that's on offer?
Perfect.
It is now, I guess. So yeah, that's going to be right. And that's like we worked out today. There's 16 or 17 different reps.
Oh,
coming
wow.
along.
That's going to be
It's
huge.
going to be a huge party. So should be really good. And of course, you can. Yeah, I mean, you might be able to beat them up, but you can certainly twist their arm for some better deals.
Or
So,
pick their brain.
Pick their brain. Yeah, absolutely. Some of them.
You can watch me just stuffing my face with donuts,
Maxwell will be here in all his glory.
eating
I'm
donuts.
going to pin Maxwell to a wall and people can throw donuts at him.
Oh, there you go. That's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not-
Just like get one of those pools, so like when they hit me, they land in the empty pool.
And we do have a few other plans for some video content out throughout the month to talk about it. We're going to that first video that Stuart, not the Stuart who's here now, but the Stuart then. We're going to redo that video.
Yeah,
It's a recreation of it.
We need to
Bit of
get
a
Stu
homage.
to recreate the Stu video.
Now you're
100%.
Updated
Perfect.
Stu.
Yep.
And say, I'm new Stu. Yeah. And so, so a few plans like that. So stay tuned for some sort of stuff. I think there's a few other videos that are coming out sort of as a little bit of look
This
back.
is exciting.
Yeah, so this should all be a bit of fun. But as I said before, and I mean the only reason we're in this position is because people choose to shop with us, which is keeps us going. Hopefully you enjoy the content we make. Hopefully you learn some stuff, not from this episode, but hopefully you learn some stuff from some of the guests we have. And we keep on doing our thing. If we keep doing it, if you guys keep doing it, we'll keep going for another at least a year.
At least another year. Perfect.
Give it a crack. We'll give it a crack. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Rusty. That was a great episode.
Cheers.
Josh, cheers for coming along and
good.
sharing your part of the last few years.
It's been a ride.
Yeah, how long's it been, Josh? 5 years, isn't
Yeah,
it?
5 years.
Coming up 5 years.
Coming up 5
Bloody
years.
hell.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole, there's so many. Yeah, we end up actually spinning off like a separate media company because people want us to make their media because they liked what we did. That's what Josh
Led him to all of this.
Led him to all of this
Yeah.
sort of gear.
All 3 cameras and 3 microphones.
Oh, you only think there's 3.
There's also a cabbage, but
Everyone's mic'd up. Even the cabbage.
even
Even the
cabbage.
cabbage, especially the cabbage.
Yeah. It's there's been lots. I'm sure as soon as we stop recording, I'll be like, oh yeah, this and this and this. But hey, if you come down here for the 10-year celebration, sure we'll tell some stories and answer some questions and all those sort of things. So, and my goal is to get a bunch of the reps to karaoke.
Karaoke.
Yes.
Either the Friday
Hell
or
yeah.
Saturday night, and hopefully both. So stay tuned.
It's
See
going to
how
be all
we
the cameras
go.
for that one.
All the cameras.
Oh, on that out of tune note, we'll go.
Excellent.
Cheers.
See you next time.